Nothing can come to you. Nothing can be added. You are already that place in consciousness through which infinity is pouring. That which we term your humanhood must be still, so as to be a clear transparency through which your infinite individual self may appear, express, or reveal itself. When we view Niagara Falls from the front, we might assume that it could run dry with so much water continually pouring over the falls. Looking behind the immediate scene, we behold Lake Erie and realize that actually there is no Niagara, that this is but a name given to Lake Erie at a point where Erie pours over the falls. The infinity of Niagara Falls is assured by virtue of the fact that actually the source of Niagara, that which constitutes Niagara, is really Lake Erie. So with us, we are that place where God becomes visible. We are the Word made flesh. Our source, and that which constitutes us, is God, infinite divine being. We are God being, God appearing, God manifesting. That is the true glory of our being. The story is told of Marconi, that when he was very young, he told friends that he would be the one to give wireless to the world, and not the many older seekers who had been experimenting for years. After he fulfilled his promise, he was asked why he had been so certain that he would succeed. His answer was that the other scientists were seeking first to discover a means to overcome resistance in the air to the messages that would be sent through the air, whereas he had already discovered there was no resistance. The world is fighting a power of evil. We have discovered there is no such power. While materia medica seeks to overcome or cure disease, and theology struggles to overcome sin, we have learned that there is no reality to disease or sin, and our so-called healings are brought about through this understanding. We know that there are these human appearances called sin and disease, but we know that because of the infinite spiritual nature of our being, they are not realities of being. They are not evil power. They have no principle to support them. Therefore, they exist only as unrealities, accepted as realities, illusion accepted as condition, the misinterpretation of what actually is. We bind ourselves by believing there is a power outside of us, power for good or for evil. All power is given to you, and this power is always good because of the infinite source whence it flows. The recognition of this great fact brings a peace and a joy untold, yet felt by all who come within range of your thought. It makes you beloved of men. It brings you recognition and reward. It establishes you in the thoughts of men and becomes the foundation of an eternal goodwill. Whenever you are faced with a problem, regardless of its nature, seek the solution within your own consciousness. Instead of running around here and there, instead of seeking an answer from this or that person, instead of looking for the solution outside of yourself, turn within. In the quiet and calm of your own mind, let the answer to your problem unfold itself. If the first or second or third time you turn in peace to the kingdom within, you fail to perceive the completed picture, try again. You will not be too late, nor will the solution appear too late. And as you learn to depend on this means for the working out of your problems and experiences, you will become more and more adept in quickly discerning your mind's revelation of harmony. Too long have we sought our health, peace, and prosperity outside ourselves. Now let us go within and learn that there is never a failure nor a disappointment in the whole realm of our consciousness. Nor will we ever find delays or betrayals when we find the calm of our own soul and the presence of an infinite principle governing, guarding, guiding, and protecting every step of our journey through life. Do not be surprised now when the outstanding truth unfolds to you that your consciousness is the all-power, and the only power acting upon your affairs, controlling and maintaining your health, revealing to you the intelligence and direction necessary for your success in any and every walk of life. Does this astonish you? No wonder. Heretofore you have believed that somewhere there existed a deific power, a supreme presence, which, if you could reach, might aid you, or even heal your body of its ills. Now it becomes clear to you that the universal mind or consciousness is the mind of the individual man, and it is the all-power and ever-present which can never leave you nor forsake you. And it is closer than breathing. And you need not pray to it, petition it, or in any way seek its favor. You need but this recognition, leading to the complete realization of this truth. From now on, you will relax and feel the constant assurance of the presence and power of this illumined consciousness. You can now say, I will not fear what man shall do unto me. No more will you fear conditions or circumstances seemingly outside of you or beyond your control. Now you know that all that can transpire in your experience is occurring within your consciousness, and therefore subject to its government and control. Nor will you ever forget the depth of feeling accompanying this revelation within you, nor the sense of confidence and courage that immediately follows it. Life is no longer a problem-filled series of events, but a joyous succession of unfolding delights. Failure is recognized as a result of a universal belief in a power outside of ourselves. Success is the natural consequence of our realization of infinite power within. Release from fear, worry, and doubt leaves us free to function normally, healthfully, and confidently. The body acts immediately from the stimulus coming to it from within. New vitality, strength, and bodily peace follow as naturally as rest follows sleep. Little do we know of the depth of the riches within us until we come to know the realm of our own consciousness, the kingdom of our mind. When we become still and go into the temple of our being for the answer to some important question or the solution of a vital problem, it is well that we do not formulate some idea of our own or outline a plan or let our wish in the matter father our thought. Rather should we still the thinking mind so far as possible and adopt a listening attitude. It is not the personal sense of mind or conscious mind which is to supply the answer, nor is it the educated mind or the mind formed of our environment and experience, but the universal mind, the reality of us, the creative consciousness. And this is best heard when the senses and the reasoning mind are silent. This inner mind not only shows us the solution to any problem and the right direction to take in any situation, but being the universal mind, it is the consciousness of every individual and brings every person and circumstance together for the good of the whole. Obviously, we cannot look to this universal consciousness to work with us for anyone's destruction or loss. What is accomplished in and through the kingdom of our mind is always constructive, individually and collectively. It can therefore never be the means of harm, loss, or injury to another. Nor do we direct our thought at another, or project it outside ourselves in any direction. That which our mind is unfolding to us is at the same time operating as the consciousness of all concerned. We need never concern ourselves with reaching some other mind or influencing some other person. Remember that the activity of mind, unfolding as us, is the influence unto all who can possibly be affected by or concerned in the problem or situation. There are no unsolved problems in mind, and this same mind, which is our own consciousness, is the only power necessary to establishing and maintaining the harmony of all that concerns us. It is our turning within that brings forth the answer already established. Our listening attitude makes us receptive to the presence and the power within us. Our periods of silent contemplation reveal the infinite force and constructive energy and intelligent direction always abiding in us. Thus we discover in our mental realm the Aladdin's lamp. Instead of rubbing and wishing, we turn in silence and listen, and all that is necessary for the harmony and success of life flows forth abundantly, and we learn to live joyously, healthfully, and successfully, not by reason of any person or circumstance outside ourselves, but because of the influence and grace within our own being. No longer is it necessary to try to dominate our business associates or members of our family. The law within us maintains our rights and privileges. Every right desire of our heart is fulfilled now, and without struggle or strife, without fear or doubt. The more we learn to relax and quickly contemplate our real desires, the more quickly and more easily are they achieved. It is not required of us that we suffer our way through life or strive endlessly for some desired good. But we have failed to perceive the presence of an inner law capable of establishing and maintaining our outer welfare. It seems strange to us at first to realize that inner laws govern outer events, and it may at first appear difficult to achieve the state of consciousness wherein these laws of our inner being come into tangible expression. We will achieve it, however, in proportion to our ability to relax mentally, to gain an inner calm and peace, and therein quietly contemplate the revelations which come to us from within. Quietness and confidence soon bring us face to face with reality, the real laws governing us. Lest the question should arise in your thought as to how a law operating in your consciousness, and without conscious effort or direction, can affect individuals and circumstances outside yourself, let me ask you to watch the result of your recognition of the inner laws and learn this through observation. We are yet to become aware of the fact that we embrace our world within ourselves, that all that exists as persons, places, and things lives only within our own consciousness. We could never become aware of anything outside the realm of our own mind, and all that is within our mental kingdom is joyously and harmoniously directed and sustained by the laws within. We do not direct or enforce these laws. They eternally operate within us and govern the world without. The peace within becomes the harmony without. As our thought takes on the nature of the inner freedom, it loses its sense of fear, doubt, or discouragement. As the realization of our dominion dawns in thought, more assurance, confidence, and certainty become evident. We become a new being, and the world reflects back to us our own higher attitude toward it. Gradually, an understanding of our fellow man and his problems unfolds to us from within, and more love flows out from us, more tolerance, cooperativeness, helpfulness, and compassion. And we find the world responds to our newer concept of it, and that all the universe rushes to us to pour its riches and treasures in our lap. Many fine treaties and covenants have been signed by nations and men, and nearly all have failed, because no document is any better than the character of those who administer it. When we become imbued with the fire of our inner being, we no longer need contracts and agreements in writing, because it becomes first nature with us to be just, honest, intelligent, and kind. And these qualities are met in all those who become part of our experience, in the home, office, shop, and in all our walks of life. The good revealed in our consciousness returns to us pressed down, shaken together, and running over. In this new consciousness, we are less angered by the acts of other people, less impatient with their shortcomings, less disturbed by their failings. And likewise, instead of being hampered and restricted by external conditions, we either do not meet with them or else brush right by them with but little concern. We realize that something within us is ruling our universe. An inner presence is maintaining outer harmony. The peace and quiet of our own soul is the law of harmony and success to our world of daily experience. All that has gone before this is as nothing unless you have seen that over and above all knowing the truth, you must be overshadowed by the Christ. When the Christ dawns in individual consciousness, the sense of personal self diminishes. This Christ becomes our real being. We have no desires, no will, no power of our own. The Christ overshadows our personal selfhood. We still perceive in the background this finite sense, and at times it tries to assert itself and even dominate the scene. For the good that I would, I do not. But the evil which I would not, that I do, says Paul. But let it be clear to you that the personal self cannot heal, teach, or govern harmoniously. It must be held in abeyance that the Christ may have full dominion within our consciousness. The work that is done with the letter of truth, with declarations and so-called treatments, is insignificant compared with what is accomplished when we have surrendered our will and action to the Christ. Christ comes to our consciousness most clearly in those moments when we come face to face with problems for which we have no answer and no power to surmount. And we realize that I can of my own self do nothing. In these moments of self-effacement, the gentle Christ overshadows us, permeates our consciousness, and brings the peace be still to the troubled mind. In this Christ, we find rest, peace, comfort, and healing. The unlabored power of spiritual sense possesses us, and discords and inharmony fade away as darkness disappears with the coming of light. Indeed, it is comparable only to the breaking of dawn. The gradual influx of divine light colors the scenes in our mind and dispels one by one the illusions of sense, the darker places in human thought. The stress of daily living would deprive us of this great spirit unless we are careful to retire often into the sanctuary of our inner being. There let the Christ be our honored guest. Never let vain conceit or a belief in personal power keep you from this sacred experience. Be willing, be receptive, be still. Supply. The secret of supply is to be found in Luke 12, verses 22 to 32. And he said unto his disciples, Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, neither for the body what you shall put on. The life is more than meat, the body is more than raiment. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which neither have storehouse nor barn, and God feedeth them. How much more are ye better than the fowls? And which of you, with taking thought, can add to his stature 1 cubit? If ye then be not able to do that thing which is least, why take ye thought for the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you, that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothed the grass, which is today in the field, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not ye what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind, for all these things do the nations of the world seek after. And your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. The question now arises, how is it possible to take no thought for money when pressing obligations must be met? How can we trust God when year in and year out these financial problems confront us, and usually through no fault of our own? We have seen in these passages from Luke that the way to solve our difficulties is to take no thought for supply, whether of money, food, clothing, or any other form. And the reason we need have no anxiety about these things is that it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, because he knoweth that ye have need of these things. In order that we may enter wholly into the spirit of confidence in this inspired message of Scripture, we must understand that money is not supply, but is the result or effect of supply. There is no such thing as a supply of money, clothes, homes, automobiles, or food. All these constitute the effect of supply, And if this infinite supply were not present within you, there never would be the added things in your experience. The added things, of course, are those practical things like money, food, and clothing that are so necessary at this stage of our existence. Since money is not supply, what is? Let us digress for a moment and look at the orange tree which is laden with fruit. We know that the oranges do not constitute supply because when these have been eaten or sold or given away, a new crop starts at once to grow. The oranges are gone, but the supply remains. Within that tree, there is a law in operation. Call it a law of God or a law of nature. The name of the law is not too important, but the recognition of the presence of a law operating in, through, or as the tree is important. That law operates to draw in through the roots the minerals, substances, elements of air, water, sunshine, which it, the law, then transforms into sap that is drawn up through the trunk of a tree and distributed through the branches and finally sent into expression as blossoms. In due time, this law transforms the blossoms into a green marble, and this becomes the full-grown orange. The orange is the result or effect of the operation of the law acting in, through, and as the orange tree. As long as this law is present, we will have oranges. The orange of itself cannot produce another orange. Thus we understand that the law is the supply, and oranges are the fruits, the result, or the effect of the law. Within you and within me, there is also a law in operation, a law of life. And our awareness of the presence of this law is our supply. Money and the things necessary for daily living are the effects of the consciousness of the activity of the law within. This understanding enables us to take thought off the things of the outer world and abide in the consciousness of the law. What is the law which is our supply? The universal or divine consciousness. Your individual consciousness is this law. This law actually is your consciousness. Thus your consciousness becomes the law of supply unto you, producing its own image and likeness in the form of those things necessary to your well-being. As there is no limitation to your consciousness, there is no limit to your conscious awareness of the action of the law, and therefore no limit to your supply in all its forms. Divine or universal consciousness, your individual consciousness, is spiritual. The activity of this law within you is likewise spiritual. Therefore your supply in all its forms is spiritual, infinite, and ever-present. What we behold as money, food, clothing, automobiles, and homes represents our concepts of these ideas. Our concepts are as infinite as our mind. Let us agree now to see that as we need take no thought for oranges, as long as we have the source or supply, which is continually producing fruit for us, so we need no longer take thought about dollars. Let us learn to think of dollars as we do of leaves on trees, or oranges, as the natural and inevitable result of the law active within. There is truly no need to be concerned, even when the trees appear to be bare, as long as we are conscious of the truth that the law is even now operating within to bring forth fruit after its own kind. Regardless of the state of our finances at any given moment, let us not be concerned or worried, because we now know that the law acting in, through, and as our consciousness is at work within us, when we are asleep as well as when we are awake, to provide all those added things. Let us learn to look at the lily and rejoice at the proof of the presence of God's love for his creation. Let us watch the sparrows and note how confidently they trust this law. Let us rejoice when we see the flowers in spring and summer, because they assure us of the divine presence, as we learn to enjoy the beauties and bounties of nature, with no desire to hoard any of them, and with no fear that there is less than an infinite supply of them. So learn to enjoy the fruitage of our infinite supply, the results of that infinite storehouse within us, with no fear of any lack to plague us. Enjoy these things of the outer realm, but do not consider them as supply. Our conscious awareness of the presence and activity of the law is our consciousness of supply, and the outer things are the forms our consciousness takes on. The inner supply appears as a necessary outer thing. Supply Part 2. We say in one breath, take no thought for your supply, or for your health. And in the next breath we say, you must pray without ceasing, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Though seeming to be contradictory, both admonitions are correct, but they have to be understood. There is always a belief of human good in operation, a law of averages, and from this we derive our material benefit. In house-to-house selling, there is usually an average of one sale out of 20 calls. In advertising through circulars, there is an average of returns of about 2%. In automobile driving, it is claimed a certain percentage of accidents is the rule. Life insurance companies have a table of life expectancy, and they can tell you in a year how many years you will continue here as an average. Now, to live humanly, that is to go along day to day, letting these averages affect you, letting the human beliefs operate upon you, is not scientific living. This is all the belief of human existence. And unless you specifically do something about it, you bring yourself under these so-called economic or health laws, which actually are but beliefs or suggestions. These suggestions are so universal as to become mesmeric in their operation and act on those who are not alert and bring forth limitations. What must we do to keep ourselves free of these suggestions so that we can live above them? First, we must live on a higher plane of consciousness. So far as possible, we must train ourselves mentally to know that anything that exists in the realm of effect is not cause, is not creative, and has no power over us. This brings up the important metaphysical point that I am the law, I am truth, I am life eternal. Since I am infinite consciousness, since I am the law, then nothing in the external can act upon me and be a law unto me. There is nothing from which we can ever suffer but the acceptance of illusion as reality. These things called sin and disease are not what we are suffering from. They are the forms the one error assumes. Regardless of the name you use, they are hypnotism, suggestion, illusion, appearing as person, place, or thing, appearing as sin, disease, lack, and limitation. We must not live as though we were effect with something operating upon us. Let us remember to live as the law, as the principle of our being. You can only take possession of your affairs as you consciously realize that they are the effect of your own consciousness, the image and likeness of your own being, the manifestation or expression of your divine self. Then alone can you be a law unto them. We must begin our days with the inner reminder of our true identity. We must identify ourselves as spirit, as principle, as the law of life unto our affairs. It is a very necessary thing to remember that we have no needs. We are infinite, individual, spiritual consciousness, embodying within ourselves the infinity of good. Therefore, we are that center, that point of God consciousness, which can feed 5,000 any day and every day, not by using our bank account, but by using the infinity of good pouring through us, the same as it poured through Jesus. We do not meet people with the idea of what we can get or what they can do for us, but we go out into life as the presence of God. During the day, whether doing housework, driving cars, selling, or buying, we must consciously remember that we are the law unto our universe, and that means that we are a law of love unto all with whom we come in contact. Consciously remember that all who come within range of our thought and activity must be blessed by the contact, because we are a law of love. We are the light of the world. Consciously remember that we do not need anything, because we are a law of supply in action. We can feed 5,000 of those who do not yet know their identity. There is a belief of separation between us and God, our good, and this we correct by realizing I and my Father are one. All that the Father hath is mine. The place whereon I stand is holy ground. In the recognition of the infinity of our being, we realize the truth of the Bible. We realize the truth of these promises. They are no longer quotations, but statements of fact. And that brings us to the point of demarcation between knowing the truth and taking no thought. We are realizing truth now as an established truth within our own consciousness, the truth of our being. We are not taking thought to make any good come to us. We are not giving ourselves a treatment to make something happen to us, but we are realizing the truth, knowing the truth of our own identity, of our oneness with the infinite, with our infinite capacities. The reason for realizing and knowing this truth is that through the ages, we have come to be known as man, as something other than God being. Unless we now consciously and daily remind ourselves of the true nature of our being, we will come under the general belief that we are something separate and apart from God. There is a belief that we are separate from some people who are really a part of our completeness. A belief that we are separate or apart from certain spiritual ideas necessary to our fulfillment. And these may appear as persons, papers, home, companionship, opportunity. This we correct by realizing that our oneness with God constitutes our oneness with every idea. Illustrative of this is a telephone. Through my telephone, I can reach any other telephone, any place in the world. But I cannot reach even my next-door neighbor by telephone without first going through the central station. Then, by establishing my oneness with central, I am one with every telephone. In the realization of our oneness with infinite principle, love, God, we find and manifest our oneness with every idea necessary to the unfoldment of our completeness. Never forget that you cannot live scientifically as man or idea, but that you must realize yourself to be life, truth, and love. You must accept Jesus' revelation of the I am until it becomes realization with you. Stop trying to apply truth. Applying truth is the action of the human thought. There is nothing to apply truth to. Truth is infinite. Therefore, there is nothing to which we can apply truth. It is the reality of being, and there is nothing inside or outside for truth to act upon. Truth is self-acting, self-operative. We are all engaged in activities through which our supply appears to come. Regardless of whether it is a business, a profession, or an art, it is an activity of mind and life. So regarded, our activity is intelligently and lovingly directed and sustained. It is even more than this. As an emanation of mind, it is mind itself, individually appearing and expressing its own being, nature, and character. The government is upon its shoulder, and mind alone is responsible. We learn to let go and let mind assume its responsibility. In the Bible, we read the trials and tribulations of Elijah. As we follow him through the 18th chapter of 1 Kings, we must understand that only the consciousness of the presence of Spirit, God, within him, could have done these mighty works. No human power can accomplish them. In the 19th chapter, we find discouragement creeping in at what appears as the failure of Elijah's ministry. Actually, this is an opportunity to prove that the power is not that of a human, but actually is God's power, appearing as what appears as a man, but really is God, appearing as an individual. The food prepared for Elijah under the juniper tree is his own awareness of the presence of God appearing in tangible form. We are led in this 19th chapter of 1 Kings to the great message in the 18th verse. Yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which hath not kissed him. You note here that God has not saved 7,000 for Elijah, but for himself, for God appearing as Elijah. Whatever our work may be, in business, in a profession, or as an artist, God, the mind of the individual, always has kept 7,000 completeness for himself. And as we learn to listen for that still small voice which spoke to Elijah, we too will be led to where our work and recognition and compensation are to be found. You exist as individual mind, therefore all that is necessary to your fulfillment is included in the infinite consciousness which you are. In an individual way, God is expressing itself as you. And your abilities are really the abilities of God. Your activity is actually the activity of mind, life. And therefore the responsibility for you is God's responsibility. Gain this consciousness of God's presence, and you have the whole secret of success in every walk of life. As individual spiritual consciousness, there are 7,000 fulfillment prepared for you. That is, God, the mind of the individual, the mind of you, has given you your individual abilities and capacities, and likewise has given you the opportunity and the reward. These appear to fit each situation. Always remember that God, the mind of you, has prepared for you all that is necessary for the fulfillment of your individual experience. You are never outside the harmony of God's being. Cultivate the consciousness of the presence of God every moment. It is our conscious union with God which enables us to live without taking thought and makes possible a life of complete abundance by grace. There is an invisible bond between all of us. We are not on earth to get from one another, but to share the spiritual treasures which are of God. Our interest in each other is, in truth, purely spiritual. Our purpose in life is the unfolding of the Spirit within. From the height of spiritual vision, we do not look upon each other as man and woman, as rich or poor, as grand or humble. All human values are submerged in our common interest to seek and find the kingdom within. We see each other as travelers on the path of light. We share our unfoldments, our experiences, and our spiritual resources. We would not withhold any of these from each other. Likewise, there is no envy or jealousy of each other's spiritual attainments. Let us even for a moment realize that whatever we possess of supply, position, prestige, or power, health, beauty, or wealth is the gift of God, and therefore equally available to all of us in the measure of our openness of consciousness. And you understand how we can carry our impersonal love out into the human world. Let us once catch the vision that whatever anyone possesses, even of what appears as material goods, is but the expression of their state of consciousness. and it would be impossible to envy any of another's possessions or even to desire them. The first step in living by grace, living in universal peace, must begin with the understanding that all anyone has is of the Father. That is, all that we possess and all that we can ever own is the outpouring of our own infinite consciousness. We are all joint heirs with Christ and God. Therefore, we all draw upon the resources of our own infinite mind and soul. And we need not labor, strive, or struggle for that which is already divinely ours, or that anyone possesses at any time, even if what seems to be of human value is the unfoldment of their own state of consciousness, and therefore belongs only to the possessor. That which we have is the result of fruitage of our own state of consciousness, and what we have not yet achieved is our own lack of conscious union with God, our infinite consciousness. We can have as much of everything as we desire by enlarging the borders of our understanding and realization. Nothing that we can get from another would ever really be ours, even if we received it legally. It would still belong only to the one with the consciousness of it. What is yours is eternally yours, and only because it is your state of consciousness in expression. All that the Father, my very own infinite consciousness, hath is mine. The realization of this truth would enable all men to live together in one world harmoniously, joyously, successfully, without fear of each other and without greed, envy, or lust. We would be back in the Garden of Eden. We would live without taking thought, which is by grace. This would constitute the recognition of life as the gift of God, as the free flow of our consciousness. It would reveal the invisible spiritual tie which binds us in an eternal brotherhood of love. It would forever solve the problem of supply and thereby establish the reign of peace on earth. The New Horizon. The sense which presents pictures of discord and inharmony, disease and death, is the universal mesmerism which produces the entire dream of human existence. It must be understood that there is no more reality to harmonious human existence than to discordant world conditions. It must be realized that the entire human scene is mesmeric suggestion, and we must rise above the desire for even good human conditions. Understand fully that suggestion, belief, hypnotism is the substance or fabric of the whole mortal universe, and the human conditions of both good and evil are dream pictures having no reality or permanence. Be willing for the harmonious as well as the inharmonious conditions of mortal existence to disappear from your experience in order that reality may be known and enjoyed and lived. Above this sense of life, there is a universal spirit governed by love, peopled with children of God, living in the household or temple of truth. This world is real and permanent. Its substance is eternal consciousness. In it, there is no awareness of discord, or even of temporary and material good. The first glimpse of reality, of the soul realm, comes with the recognition and realization of the fact that all temporal conditions and experiences are products of self-hypnotism. With the realization that the entire human scene, its good as well as its evil, is illusion, comes the first glimpse and taste of the world of God's creation and of the sons of God who inhabit the spiritual kingdom. Now, in this moment of uplifted consciousness, we are able, even though faintly, to see ourselves free of material, mortal, human, and legal laws. We behold ourselves separate and apart from the bondage of sense, and in a measure, we glimpse the unlimited boundaries of eternal life and of infinite mind. The fetters of finite existence begin to fall away. The price tags start to disappear. We no longer dwell in thought on human happiness or prosperity, nor is there any longer concern about health or home. The wider, grander view is coming into focus. The freedom of divine being is becoming apparent. The experience at first is like watching the world disappear over a horizon and drop down from before us. There is no attachment to this world, no desire to hold on to it. Probably because to a great extent, the experience does not come until a great measure of our desire for the things of this world has been overcome. At first we cannot speak of it. There is a sense of, touch me not, for I have not yet ascended. I am still between the two worlds. Do not touch me, or make me speak of it, because it may drag me back. Let me be free to rise. Then, when I am completely free of the mesmerism and its pictures, I will tell you of many things which eyes have not seen, nor ears heard. A universal illusion binds us to earth, to temporal conditions. Realize this, understand this, because only through this understanding can we begin to lessen its hold upon us. The more fascinated we are with the conditions of human good, the greater our desire for even the good things of the flesh, the more intense is the illusion. In proportion as our thought dwells on God, on things of the Spirit, the greater freedom from limitation are we gaining. Think neither on the discord nor on the harmonies of this world. Let us not fear the evil nor love the good of human existence. In proportion as we accomplish this, is the mesmeric influence lessening in our experience. Earth ties begin to disappear. Shackles of limitation fall away. Erroneous conditions give place to spiritual harmony. Death gives way to eternal life. The first glimpse into the heaven of here and now is the beginning of the ascension for us. This ascension is understood now as arising above the conditions and experiences of this world, and we behold the many mansions prepared for us in spiritual consciousness in the awareness of reality. We are not bound by the evidence of the physical senses. We are not limited to the visible supply. We are not circumscribed by visible bonds or bounds. We are not tied by visible concepts of time or space. Our good is flowing from the infinite, invisible realm of spirit, soul, to our immediate apprehension. Let us not judge of our good by the sensible evidence. Out of the tremendous resources of our soul comes the instant awareness of all that we can utilize for abundant living. No good thing is withheld from us as we look above the physical evidence to the great invisible. Look up, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. I am breaking the sense of limitation for you as an evidence of my presence and of my influence in your experience. I, the eye of you, am in the midst of you, revealing the harmony and infinity of spiritual existence. I, the eye of you, never a personal sense of I, never a person, but the eye of you, and ever with you, look up. The New Jerusalem. The former things have passed away, and all things are become new. Whereas I was blind, now I see, and not through a glass darkly, but face to face. Yes, even in my flesh, I have seen God. The hills have rolled away. There is no more horizon, but the light of heaven makes all things plain. Long have I sought thee, O Jerusalem. But only now have my pilgrim feet touched the soil of heaven. The waste places are no more. Fertile lands are before me, the like of which I have never dreamed. Oh, truly, there shall be no night there. The glory of it shines as the noonday sun, and there is no need of light, for God is the light thereof. I sit down to rest. In the shade of the trees I rest, and find my peace in thee. Within thy grace is peace, O Lord. In the world I was weary. In thee I have found rest. In the dense forest of words I was lost. In a letter of truth with tiredness and fear. But in thy spirit only is shade and water and rest. How far have I wandered from thy spirit, O tender one and true? How far? How far? How deeply lost in the maze of words, words, words. But now am I returned, and in thy spirit shall I ever find my life, my peace, my strength. Thy spirit is the bread of life, finding which I shall never hunger. Thy spirit is a wellspring of water, and drinking it I shall never thirst. As a weary wanderer I have sought thee, and now my weariness is gone. Thy spirit has formed a tent for me, and in its cool shade I linger, and peace fills my soul. Thy presence has filled me with peace. Thy love has placed before me a feast of spirit. Yea, thy spirit is my resting place, an oasis in the desert of the letter of truth. In thee will I hide from the noise of the world of argument. In thy consciousness find surcease from the noisomeness of men's tongues. They divide thy garment, O Lord of peace. They quarrel over thy word, yea, until it becomes words, and no longer word. As a beggar have I sought the new heaven and the new earth. Thou hast made me heir of all. How shall I stand before thee, but in silence? How shall I honor thee, but in the meditation of mine heart? Praise and thanksgiving thou seekest not, but the understanding heart thou receivest. I will keep silence before thee. My soul and my spirit and my silence shall be thy dwelling place. Thy spirit shall fill my meditation, and it shall make me and preserve me whole. O thou tender one and true, I am home in thee.